Hello YouTube, Byron at Splitting Slices. Well, today we're going to do another yay or nay series where we take two reasonably priced comparative knives and rank them based on performance, functionality, and value and decide which of the two knives would we keep for an everyday carry. The two knives we're going to talk about today are the Gerber Affinity and the Bestech Eye of Ra. Now, both of these knives are modern day locking folders. One is thumb actuated, one is a flipper actuated knife. And really from that point on, the knives differ. So let's get into it and talk about the specifications first, and then we'll talk about the performance and value issues that are associated with each. So the first knife we're going to talk about is the Gerber Affinity. Now that is this folder knife right here. It is thumb actuated. It has a copper show scale. It is a steel liner lock thumb stud knife that is coated and then has the copper accent grip bar as well as liner lock safety tab on the back. All right. Let's go through the overall specs on this knife quickly. So this knife is around 8 inches in overall length with a 3 3/8 inch long blade. Now, the first point of contention is the spec sheet on this knife. This knife claims to be a 3.7 inch blade length. It is no way near 3.7 inches. This is a 3 3/8 long blade length with about a just shy of 3 1/4 inch cutting edge. And if you line the two knives up, which we will here in a little bit, you'll see that they're exactly the same size, both blade length and more or less handle length. All right, so let's continue on. Basically, the cutting edge on this, again, is around 3 1/4. The blade width is 0.88 inches. The blade thickness is just shy of an 1/8 inch. The blade material on this is 7CR 17 MOV. So we're talking something around the neighborhood equivalent of 440C. It is a drop point style blade with a flat grind, a black finish. The handle length on this is around 4.5 inches or so. The handle thickness is 0.37 inches, and that's actually one of its features, positive traits, is it is a fairly thin user knife. Even though it is long and slender, it fits well in the pocket. Again, it has a copper show side scale on it, but it is a stainless steel frame lock flipper. Or thumb stud knife, pardon me. The weight of this knife is 4.6 ounces. It has a tip-up manual thumb stud on it, just one side, right side only. And this is made in China. All right, now you can get the Affinity in both this color coordination, or you can get it with a satin blade and white show side G10 handles. All right, the overall price on this knife, manufacturer's retail price is $56. That's right, you heard this, $56 for a heavy copper 7CR knife. We'll talk about that here in a second. All right, let's talk about the second knife. The second knife is the Bestech Eye of Ra. Now, this is a modern locking knife with a liner lock flipper tab design. It is the exact same dimensions of the Gerber Affinity. So the overall length of this knife is right around 8 inches with a 3 3/8 long satin blade of D2 steel. Now, I would call this more of a Japanese tanto because of the straight back and the bellied design of this blade. Let's see, what can I tell you? Of course, it's a satin finish. It's a flat grind. We're talking a black G10 handle scales. It's a right-handed knife, tip up with a pocket clip, and it is made in China as well. So this is the Bestech Eye of Ra. Now, for the Bestech, let's talk a little bit about its features. So overall, I found this knife to be acceptable. Both knives performed well on their day-to-day tasks. Good overall everyday carry knife. For me, it's a little small as a primary, but for most people, I think this would be an average size knife with a 3 3/8 blade length that kind of falls right into what most people like as a primary carry. Pocket clip performed performed well. The knife performed well. The D2, I would say, held up a little better than the 7CR steel in performing daily tasks. I did not have to strop or sharpen this blade during the week I used it, where I did have to strop up the Gerber Affinity. All right. Overall, just a pretty decent but average knife. I would call the Bestech Eye of Ra. My biggest critique on this knife is the actual Eye of Ra design, which is the specially designed speed holes put through the frame and the handle scales, which unfortunately kind of allows dust, debris, and oils and dirt to get inside the knife. So I did have to kind of rinse it out once or twice and kind of clean that up as using it for a work knife. So that was my biggest critique for this knife. All right, so overall, out of the two knives, well, I guess first of all, let's talk about MSRP on the Bestech Eye of Ra. This knife retails for $52. This knife retails for $56. All right, so final comments, features. If I had to pick one, which one would it be? It would be the Bestech Eye of Ra. It has slightly smaller handle, just slightly smaller than the Affinity, but the D2 steel held up better. I enjoyed the flipper tab on that knife more than the thumb stud deployment on the Affinity. The Eye of Ra is also on bearings, where the Gerber Affinity is on washers, so a little bit better action. All right, so let's talk about, though, the value proposition here. Right now, the Gerber Affinity is on sale for $17. Now, you can get the satin and white G10 option for $16 at Blade HQ. So, based on that, would I own either one of the knives? Well, for $16, it's hard to buy a piece of sandpaper and a file that you could sharpen and get a sharpened edge for $16. So, based on that, I would definitely recommend the Affinity for basically a junk drawer knife or an everyday hard use work knife that, quite frankly, if you broke or really tore up and you threw away, ended up being disposable, that would be fine. For $16, that's a heck of a knife. For $56, no way. Couldn't recommend it at all. Now, the Eye of Ra. This knife retails for $52. You can get it in yellow, orange, or black G10 options. Only D2 steel. Would I buy this knife? Honestly, no. Between the two, I would own the Eye of Ra, but if I had my choice, for $4 more at $56, I could own the Bestech Swordfish, which is 4 inches of D2, no holes through the handle scales for dirt and debris to enter, and a much more ergonomic, comfortable handle. I would buy the Swordfish every day and twice on Sunday, and quite frankly, I'm not real thrilled with either of these knives, but if I had to pick one, it would be the Bestech Eye of Ra. All right, well, that does it for this series. Thanks for staying tuned here and checking my channel content out. This is Byron from Splitting Slices, saying split a slice with a friend soon. Everyone, take care, and we'll see you on the next one.